Hello and welcome to Bethan's Kitchen and Garden. Today I'm going to do a plot tour. So let's just get on with it. This border needs a lot of work doing to it. Well, not a lot of work, it just needs weeding essentially. But predominantly it's more for the tayberries, this border here. And they are coming into bud now, which is really nice. It looks like there's going to be a fair few tayberries on here again this year. So I'll make this a mission soon to get in here and clear out all the weeds and things I don't want growing in here, so I can plant flowers that I do want growing in here. These are my pelargoniums from last year. They were in my greenhouse, but they showed no sign of life whatsoever. So I've just left them outside for the time being, in the hopes that something might come from them, but I don't think it will. And then if I come around to here, the mint is growing really strong. Very, very pleased with that. The garlic looks like it's coming on nice. I do need to do another weed in this bed. This bed is quite bad for being weedy. I've got some self-seeded coriander around here, which is great. And I did this experiment with peas in this pot to see how many peas we might be able to get. Essentially my peas came up sooner and I had nowhere to put them because it was so cold outside, so they've gone in this pot. But there do seem to be some peas here, so we might get a small harvest from this pot, and maybe it was worth doing in the long run. I've come around to my broad beans. These are the overwintered ones which are flying on, and there are some overwintered ones. The larger ones are overwintered, and the smaller ones I had to re-sow because I lost loads of them. But it's surprising the difference in the growth between the overwintered ones and the spring ones. But there we are, that's how it is. I've got a lovely messy section here which I really need to tidy up and decide what I'm doing with. And my seating area is similar. That needs well, it's sort of like where I'm putting things together at the moment, so it's going to stay like that for a while really, until I sort out this chicken wire. My flower border here, it's sort of, all the tulips have now sort of been bashed aside, and again I kind of need to sort out what's going on. I think my dahlias, oh, I can see there is some growth in the dahlia there, but like that one there, that just didn't survive the winter, so I'll have to see what comes up, and then I might give this bed a bit of an overhaul, because I've got lots of things growing in here, but I'm not quite sure what they are. If I come around to the plum tree, right, we have got little plums beginning to form on there, so that's great. This variety is Early Rivers. My fig trees, nothing is happening with, and I'm going to take them out and sow carrots in these pots because they're good pots for growing carrots in. Nothing in there just yet. Not quite sure what I'm going to plant in there. And similarly, more plums on here. Then come to the swede bed, sprout bed, sorry. They are looking good. They have put on quite a bit of growth. They have liked the cold weather. I think they are one of the few plants that are enjoying the cold weather. And my garlic in these beds are doing well. I need to weed in here, and I also haven't mulched this bed yet, so the garlic is doing surprisingly well considering I haven't really given it any feed. And more broad beans here. These are Grano Violetta. Well, they started off as Grano Violetta, but now I think they're predominantly Vineyards Express, where I filled in the gaps that had died over the winter. I got last year's artichokes in there that I need to take out and harvest. Sorry, I just stopped recording while the plane went over because it was quite noisy, and I still haven't got the chickens back into this area yet. They're still on my lawn. I just need to take the bricks out really and take all that compost there and put it in the compost bin, and then they should be able to come back then. In this bed here I've got a couple of self-sown onion, well, not self-sown onions, but they're onions I didn't harvest last year I think, and some Swiss chard, which looks like that's both in. The garlic in this bed is doing really well. Yeah, that's all good. That's been mulched. All these beds here have been mulched. Similarly, another plum tree which has got plums on, so hopefully we will get some plums this year off this side, because we didn't get any off this side last year, and I think we only got about 4 off that side. But I mean, I'm looking at this at the moment and it looks like there's loads on here. You can see all these sort of like little brown bits. I mean, it's not going to grow all those plums, but at least there's some sign of hope. Now this is the broccoli bed, which has come to a bit of a disaster. It's not covered because it did have fleece. All this long bed here had fleece over it, and when I looked underneath the fleece, things had been nibbling the broccoli. So I am not holding out much hope for these plants really, and my neighbour has given me some plants, and I will probably take these out and plant the other ones in their place. Normally when the plants have been eaten like this, they don't come back, and well, in my experience they don't really come back, or they don't produce as well as they could do. So I think I'll have to draw a line under there and re-sow this bed, or replant this bed. Now this is a happier bed here. My sugar snap peas, 2 rows of sugar snap peas are looking really good to me, and on the other side that is kohlrabi, and just up a bit further is Chinese kale. Now I just wanted to highlight that when I planted these in the ground, they were the same size as these broccoli plants. So for some reason these ones have thrived and these ones haven't. So I'm not quite sure why that has happened, but it has happened, and that's just how it is sometimes, isn't it? It's always surprising. But the kohlrabi looks like it's doing really well there, and the Chinese kale looks like it's doing well there. I'll take you around the other side so you can have a better look. And then the peas here, these are meteor peas I think, and for some strange reason the ones in the middle have not come up. I sowed them directly, and I'm not quite sure why those ones in the middle haven't come up. That's a bit bizarre, because if the whole line hadn't come up, I would have thought that it might have been mice, or the seed wasn't viable, but it was the same seed for both lines. So that is quite bizarre, because this was quite a substantial gap as well. But I'm not going to re-sow anything. I'll just grow them as they are. I wanted to come around this side because I can see that broccoli has started to form. That's what you're kind of looking for. You take the stem there, and then they should grow more stems, as it were. So it's a bit like purple sprouting broccoli, but it should be it should be ready within 60 days, 45 to 60 days. So it is looking strong, and hopefully we'll be getting more pickings from the other plants soon. But I will take this one and have like one lone little broccoli. Well, it can go in with the purple sprouting broccoli that I've got. I've come round to this bed. My carrots are doing well. I chitted these carrots first and then sowed them to make sure the seed was viable, because it's 1 or 2 year old seed, so I thought I'd see if it was viable first. And germination, well, they had germinated, but growing on was a bit sporadic, so I did another planting, and they are just beginning to come through now. The shallots are looking good as far as I can tell. My radish here, it's not looking as good as the ones I grew in the greenhouse, but I think we'll have a small harvest from there. Once those radishes gone, I will plant up this middle section with more carrots. And then I have sowed January King, no, not Autumn King carrots this side, wintering carrots, and I can see a few of them coming through, so that's great. And in this bed there's parsnips, but I haven't long sown the parsnips, and there's not much to show you apart from the shallots, but the shallots are looking good, and there are a few bits of green coming through, and they are parsnips, they are not weeds, because I can tell by the colour of them that they are parsnips, because they're quite sort of bright green. And then in this bed at the moment I've just got the shallots, but there are going to be celeriac in here. I do need to weed it. I just wanted to show you really before I weeded it how many weeds have come through in my homemade compost, because all these have been mulched with homemade compost, and I don't normally get this many seeds when I've used bought in compost. And these beds were actually even worse than this bed here, but I've kept on top of those beds because parsnip seeds are little, and I didn't want to pull out a parsnip seed when I was weeding. So I've tried to keep on top of the carrot weeding and the parsnip weeding, but hopefully I'll get my celeriac in here really soon. Not much to report in those beds. Oh, before I go to those beds, just have a look at the blackberries over here. They are beginning to bud up now, so that's good, that's great. Hopefully we'll have a good harvest of blackberries. And I bought some lupin seeds to put some lupins here, and this lupin that was here has self-seeded itself, so I didn't really need to buy the lupins. And the same there, it's that's kind of where I wanted to put them as well, so that was quite lucky. Doesn't normally happen that way, does it? And lovely colour on the apple blossom here. They look like they're doing well. Hopefully we'll get 1 or 2 apples from here this year. The roses, nothing on the roses yet. Well, you know, there's plenty of growth on there, but no flowers as such. As I was saying, these beds are predominantly empty. I've just left this kale plant for the early insects to eat. And my purple sprouting broccoli, my one purple sprouting broccoli, it's probably coming to an end now. I'll probably get one more harvest off that. We've had 2 harvests so far. Quite big harvests, but yeah, we've just had 2 harvests off that. So I'll probably, that'll be coming out fairly soon. I think my sweet corn's going to go here, and then my lovage, this small little bed, I think is going to be herbs predominantly. So if I ever get round to doing it, I might plant those chives that are in that pot in there, but I won't hold my breath because I probably won't get round to doing that. My potatoes, these are Desiree. They look like they're coming through strong now. And this side is Cara, I think. And just a couple are showing through at the moment, so they are a bit further behind, but that's no problem. Another disaster of a bed over here. Again, this is a good example of the weeds from my homemade compost. I've just got this one lonely little cauliflower here. There was loads of brassicas in this bed, but where the fleece was on top, I think slugs must have just eaten them all, and I've just got a handful of radish in these two lines here. But I am going to sow some beans soon, and this is going to be a bean bed for this season. So yeah, that's a little bit disappointing because the things that are growing the best are the weeds, and I don't really want them, but never mind. Let's have a look around the front. The lemon balm next to my mini greenhouse is growing really well. I have done absolutely nothing with that lemon balm. It just keeps coming back year after year. I just planted it in this trough, and I normally put some bloodfish and bone in it, but it's just sprung up before I've had a chance this year. So it'll be interesting to see how well that does. My my lovely set of shelves, which I made in the last vlog, they've now got plants sitting on them. So got some onions from sets that my neighbour gave me there. Cut and come again lettuce, more advanced cut and come lettuce, more advanced still cut and come lettuce, which I need to take in the house and use. Still more cut and come again lettuce, and then lettuce waiting in the wings. And then this one, one of them has started, but this one hasn't. But there is a little bit of resistance when I pull it, so there are roots forming there. So that's good. And then I need to tidy up this area. Well, this oregano I grew, and I've just put that out yesterday. This area I will probably do something with at some point. And my plum tree, I'm very pleased, not plum, pear, to report has lots of pears growing on them. Obviously it won't be able to support this number, but they will drop through their own by themselves. The what the tree doesn't want will drop off when it's ready, and then I'll probably just take a few more off to make sure that we do get a harvest of pears, rather than growing loads of pears and ending up with none that are formed right, which I have done in previous years. Carrots, these are the March sowing, and this is the February sowing. There isn't a whole lot of difference between the March and the February. We are missing a few of the stations here. These got eaten in my cold frame. I think that's what happened anyway. I think slugs have eaten them because they did have good germination, good coverage, and over time we've lost a few, so I reckon that's slug damage. But what's growing does look like it's growing well so far, so that's success so far. More onions in pots growing here, and these are my own grown seed that I had a few left over, so I thought, well, I'll see how well they grow compared to the sets. And then there's strawberry plants, but I won't dwell too much because I did do a sort of mini tour of this front garden in my last vlog, so we'll just have a very, very quick sort of look around because, well, I don't want to go through it again. It's in my last vlog. So the blueberries look like they're doing well, and the raspberries are definitely shooting up. I'm just at the top of the driveway now where my veg truck is, and this has got dill and spring onions in it. I'm soon going to plant my tumbling toms in here as well. I wanted this veg truck to be just doing as much as it possibly could. So we'll see how well everything does in there. Still just got my tulips in there, which are absolutely beautiful. They've gone over a bit now, but these were really stunning tulips when they were at their peak. But French beans, climbing French beans, are going to go in there. And then I wanted to show this tree because you can see that this bit and that bit has died completely, but underneath there is bits, well, branches that are growing. So I'm going to keep my eye on these and actually see how well they grow this year, because there doesn't seem to be any cherries forming on there. But this branch, which is an older branch, does have cherries forming. So if we come up here, there you can see that there are cherries forming off there. So, and similarly with this branch, this is an older one. So I want to see how well these ones do, whether it's worth keeping them going or whether I should just cut them out and rely on these two main branches to provide the cherries. Beetroot is going well in here. I planted it a week ago and I can see it has grown in the week. When I multi-sow things, sometimes they don't grow very quickly because there's like 4 of them there, but they seem to be doing well. Another apple tree in blossom here, looks lovely. The blossom is quite cheerful to look out of the window at. And my cherry bush, this is called pothos, and well, you can see the new growth compared to the old growth. It's grown that much already, so that's positive. I do need to stake it a bit better. At the moment it's just got this bamboo cane, and it could do with just coming back a bit and being more supported. More beetroot in here, hopefully they'll grow well in there. Last year I had onions which didn't grow very well, but my cat was in there all the time using it as a litter tray, so that's why the netting is on. More apples, looking great there. And then my potatoes in pots, they are coming on really well. These are first and second early, so they're a bit more advanced than the ones I showed you in the back garden, because, well, they grow quicker, and I think I planted them earlier as well. My grapevine, I need to drill into this post and along there, and put some strings in for the grapevine to grow up. I've turned my back for 2 minutes and everything has grown within 2 minutes. I've got gooseberries growing on here. I've only just noticed that they're starting to produce fruit. That's great. Similarly with the joster berries, got some fruit coming on there as well. And the red currants and the black currants are doing the same. Let's have a look. So yeah, black currants there. I can see red currants, but there we are. Red currants growing there. Rhubarb going bonkers up here, absolutely bonkers conkers. Can't really keep up with it all, but it's a nice problem to have. Put my strawberries out yesterday. They seem to be okay overnight, so that's all great. They were growing in my greenhouse, and yeah, they seem to be fine. I've got a volunteer potato growing there, and then I won't take the cover off, but I've got some more onions growing there, and I will be planting some Heinz tomatoes here to grow amongst the onions, and another potato, volunteer potato there, which I've just left in to see what you get from volunteer potatoes. And then finally the first earlies and second earlies that I planted in the ground are all coming up really strong. And the asparagus is not looking too shabby either. Some quite thick ones coming through there, and I am harvesting about 6 spears every, I'd say spear, didn't I? Spear. 6 spears every 3 or 4 days, so that's quite good. And then the onions are growing well, I think, as well. Well, I had meant this to be a quick tour, but I've waffled on as normal, but I think I've shown you practically everything there is to show you now, and it's probably time I went on and planted some things out. So that's it for me for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed this tour about what's going on. Everything is coming up now really quickly, so I really do need to get some things done as soon as possible, so I can look after the plants rather than making structures and things. So that's it from me for today. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribing and commenting if you have done so. I really do appreciate it. And all I can say about my plot tour is lovely job, and take care everybody.